Hello, Leestown parents. Thank you for joining us for our first ever episode of What's in Your Child's Data Folder. You may not know this, but every 4.5 weeks, we meet with your child and talk to them about their assessment data. Today's episode will be referring to our KPREP scores and what you may have received in the mail recently. As you can see, this is an example of a KPREP score sheet where we have different performance levels. This particular child got a proficient in reading, a proficient in math, a proficient in social studies, and we had a problem with a novice in on-demand writing. As you will notice at the bottom of the page here, there are explanations about each of the performance level. There's an explanation for what it means to become proficient in reading, proficient in social studies, proficient in math, and novice in on-demand writing. Now let's look at these numbers more closely. The school and the state's goal is for everyone to be proficient. This is our goal. This particular student received a 212 as their scale score. This is very close to the cut score of 210. The cut score is the boundary between all of the performance levels. We would keep a close eye on this student in reading to be sure that they stayed as a proficient reader. The same thing is true of their math score. It's a 210, which is exactly the cut score. We don't want them to slip backwards, so we would give them extra attention every day to maintain that 210. The same thing is true of their social studies score. Now, when we look at novice or on-demand writing, that means they had some kind of a problem that day with this 156. As you can see, that compares unfavorably to the school mean, the district mean, and the state mean. So we would work hard with this student to be sure that they can bring that up and be a successful writer. Now here's another example of a score sheet. This student received distinguished in reading, distinguished in math, distinguished in social studies, but an apprentice in on-demand writing. It's the same type of explanation as our other page with the reading performance level, distinguished, distinguished for math, distinguished for social studies, but once again, we had a little bit of a drop down here for our apprentice level on demand. That's just slightly below. Let's take a close look at our apprentice score here. As you can see, it's a 233. They needed 2 more points to be able to reach the level of proficient, which is our goal for every student. Our goal is for every student to be proficient in everything. The goal is proficiency for all students at Leestown and in the state of Kentucky. Go Chargers! This particular student did a great job here with their distinguished rating in reading at a 230, a 250 outstanding. They only had to have a 229. They got a 250. Here they barely made it, so we keep a close eye on this student to be sure that they maintain that level of distinguished performance in social studies. Our next slide only has 2 topics, reading and mathematics, just 2. That's because 6th graders last year were only tested in reading and math. So this would be for your current 7th grader, 6th grader last year. So if you received a course score sheet with only 2 of these, 1, 2, that's because they were a 6th grader last year. Great job here with a distinguished rating in reading, but once again, this particular score would make us think, oh my goodness, we have to keep this child going and moving forward in reading so they do not slip backwards and they can maintain their distinguished level, which is fantastic. We love a distinguished level of anything. We have a lot of hope here because this is very close to the cut score of 231. Once again, that's the boundary between the performance levels. This student has a 228, so they only need 3 points. Just need 3 points, and we're going to have a distinguished level here, which would mean we'd have a straight distinguished student. Once again, the explanations at the bottom describe for you what it means to be distinguished or proficient in both of those categories. When you flip over your KPREP score sheet, you will find 2 more numbers. It is the Lexile Measure and it is the quantile measure. You may already understand that Lexile is their reading level. Reading. You may find more information at this particular website to make you understand better what kinds of books are appropriate for your child if they're reading at whatever this level tells you. The quantile measure gives you information about mathematical skills, and you can find more information about this score at the Quantiles website here. Please stay tuned for future episodes of What's in Your Child's Data Folder. Thank you for joining us for our first episode. It's a great day to be a charger.